Well, welcome to Joyful Living with Catherine Chess. I am so grateful to be here this evening. My name is Penelope Bent, and I will be sitting in for Catherine this evening. This program is regarding Eat Your Way to Healthy. We're working on Module 2, which is your Delicious Detox. And I know so many of you have probably received all three of the ebooks for Delicious Detox. So you have your information regarding what is the best thing to be eating if you're choosing to work on a detox. And I know that the detox is, it's a lot to even make the suggestion to yourself that you're going to go, on a 10-day detox. But if you start to really review what is, what foods to avoid and what foods to encourage in your diet, I found it really amazing. I went over the list again tonight, and most of the foods that are listed on the avoid would be things that I have learned to avoid based on Catherine's amazing Jumpstart program. So for example, I'm not eating anywhere near the amount of sugar that I used to eat, or caffeine. Sodas have been out of my diet for many, many years. So that's not a difficult thing to jump over to, sparkle water that you can pick up at Safeway and so on and so forth. So for those of you that have received these modules and kind of put the detox element to the side, I think it's really a great idea to review what is actually requested. And because Catherine has put together such an amazing prep menu that you can, make so many different suggested meals that you can make in advance, it really isn't as big of a shift to this clean eating idea as it may appear. So I would love to encourage all of you to revisit the 10-day detox and maybe look at it as a 10-day clean eating plan. And introduce yourself to the idea of clean eating. I mean, you're talking about, vegetables and whole foods, avoiding your processed foods, which, if you're in this program, I mean, I'm assuming you're wanting to eliminate some of those toxic foods in your diet to begin with, or you probably wouldn't be, sitting here watching this video and participating in these amazing programs that Catherine has created. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that, I think that so many of us look at the idea of getting healthy as having to eliminate things that we have been eating for such a long period of time in our life. And of course, we've got our cravings and we all love sugar, I'm sure. But if you really look at a lot of the menu planning in the 10-day detox menu, meal planning, you'll find that there are some amazing recipes in there for some really, nice little sugary bits that are delicious. Everything from the muffins to the little chocolate type morsels and so on and so forth. So I mean, she has really gone to an amazing amount of effort to give you these alternatives, to give you these substitutions for maybe some bad habits and learning to substitute into new habits. So I think it's important to really revisit those items and to view it from the perspective that, she's not asking you to change your entire life. She's just asking you to take a look at what you could start avoiding and what you could start implementing and bringing into your life. So many of us, we're not into cooking a lot of vegetables. I'm really into vegetables now. And because of Catherine, I have learned how to, to cook great vegetables. A matter of fact, Catherine is launching a new program called Veg It Up. and it is an amazing cookbook with 27 terrific recipes. And she has actually created 27 video tutorials to show us exactly how to make the vegetables and make them tasty with great spices and so on and so forth. So as you mosey on through this program and see those subtle changes in how you're feeling and how your body is feeling, I think that it's a good idea to go back and revisit the detox module and see what other little pieces you can start eliminating and others that you can start adding, substitutes that you can start adding into your life. And that brings me to another piece. This program and Catherine's work is about joyful living. And in order to live joyfully, we so much have to pay attention to our health. And that's probably one of our number one concerns, whether, I'm wanting to drop a few pounds, or someone else is perhaps, struggling with digestive issues and so on and so forth. But when we start to look at the overall picture of our entire lives, I think there's a lot of detoxing that we could implement. And so, because Catherine is off on vacay for a couple of days and I'm sitting in, I thought it would be fun to kind of take a look at some of the other toxic areas of our life that we might want to do a bit of a cleanse. So off the number one topic, and you can tell by my environment, it's not exactly what you call minimal, but at the same time, I think we need to ask ourselves that question, is our environment a peaceful environment? Or do we have a lot of unnecessary clutter in our environment? Do we, I guess it was last year or maybe a year and a half ago, I said to my husband, I said, there's so many pieces of furniture that I really feel it's time to replace. I feel like they have provided great comfort for us, and perhaps, they were pieces that had come through the family and they meant a lot and blah, blah, blah. But at this time, they either needed to be reupholstered or we needed to make a substitution. I think it's really important to look at your environment and ask yourself, how is your environment making you feel? Well, by the looks of my environment, you can tell it's pretty damn colorful. Both my husband and I are work in, my husband's an artist. And so I too have picked up a little bit of painting and so on and so forth. So between books and art and, music, we are quite the collectors. But when you take a look at your environment, I think it's important to ask yourself these questions. Is your environment giving you, is it exciting? Or are you walking by, the guest room or by the chair in the family room and you're saying to yourself, oh dear God, I can't take it anymore. You've already thrown the blanket over the chair, the worn area of the chair, and now that isn't even working for you. So I think that it's really important when you're looking at changing your life and adding different elements in and being responsible for the joy in our lives, to take a look at your environment and see if there's anything that you can eliminate. If it needs to be a discussion at the morning breakfast table over, what, babe, I can't do that couch anymore. We need to take a look at another one, or share with your spouse how it's making you feel and how you really feel it's time to update. I just always knew that I said to my husband, I don't want to be one of those old ladies that the kids walk in the house and go, oh, Jesus, she's got all this crap from 1969. So I think it's important to keep our environments up to date. And I think it is such a peaceful aspect of our lives. So that's one of my number one points, is to take a look at your environment and see what is making you unhappy, what could be contributing to not feeling, big and peaceful and with all this joy coming into your world. The other thing is, if you have children, how is their clutter being organized, especially right now in the middle of this COVID thing? I mean, are we organized? Do we have little bins that the little toys go in? And do the kids know that they're supposed to put everything back in there, or at least try to get into that area? I think trying to look at those clutters. Recently, I went through and gave away boxes of books. I mean, some were on business, because I was in business for myself for years. Some were on, fashion books that I had used during you know, during the modeling and acting era of my world. And so I was able to share those with folks that I knew would really benefit from all of those books. So again, decluttering. What about clothing? What about, you're in this program, you're wanting to make a change, you're wanting to feel better. Are we still hanging on to old pieces of clothing? Perhaps clothing that either we have outgrown, or perhaps if they're too big for us now. Are we still, running around in the morning with, a cozy sweat jacket that's, got an oil spot on it that you couldn't get out with spray and wash? I mean, it's time to get rid of some of those things. Start eliminating in your closet what's really not making you feel well, and start adding in, a new sweat outfit or a new running outfit, or perhaps it's your pair of tennis shoes that, have been well worn and they've been your friend, but it's time to upgrade and get a new one. How are those pieces and parts making you feel? Are you feeling like, feeling like a crumb when you walk out in the morning? Are you feeling fresh and know that my top is tidy and it's got a fresh look to it? My body may not be in the best form, but at least my sweat outfit or my robe is, or whatever it is that I'm putting on. So, that's something to go through. And again, you're decluttering, you're going through your wardrobe, you're eliminating what's no longer working for you. Maybe you were in corporate and you have all these executive suits and you no longer need them. And now is a great time to perhaps edit them and donate. There's so many terrific charities all throughout California and in other states that, women that are wanting to get, back into business or really need beautiful wardrobes. And if you're like so many of us, we certainly didn't wear anything out. We ended up probably getting a new suit for another meeting. And so there's a lot of really nicely still ready to wear clothing that we have in our closets that may not be serving you. And so being able to eliminate that, to, detox, get away from that old look and kind of look at what your new look is. How about relationships? So many of us have, we have family members, we have friends that we've had for 30 years. Are all those relationships really continuing to be healthy? Are they healthy in our environment? Do they make us feel good about ourselves? Can we share the fact that we're on this journey together? I think relationships are very important. Or do we find that there's a lot of toxic relationships, or maybe one or two toxic relationships in our lives? When you get that phone call and you know it's going to be a depressing conversation, especially right now. I found that several of my dear friends have really had a tough time with the COVID piece, and they were women that are out and about and they can't play tennis and they can't go to the club, and the golf course is limited, or whatever the case may be, and it really does bother them. I mean, it affects them a lot. So I think to myself, oh, do I really want to answer that phone? Because I know that it's not going to be a positive experience. And am I up for that? So I think that we have to look at those relationships and decide whether all of our relationships are loving, and are they contributing to the joy that we aspire to have in our lives? Or do we have a few toxic relationships, and we hold on to them because they come under the heading of family. And God bless family. I love family just as much as the next guy. But I also feel that it is incredibly important to respect the life that I'm choosing to carve out in this particular time, and to respect myself enough that I will no longer allow behavior from certain members of my family to disrupt my peace and harmony and everything, the joy and the love that I feel that has been given to me as a gift through this thing that we call life. And that's not an easy thing to make that decision. But if you start journaling and start writing down these relationships that may be toxic, it's not that you're necessarily going to throw them out with the bathwater, but at the same time, you can either limit them with putting boundaries up and letting folks know that you're not going to handle the drunk dial at 11:30 at night, or whatever the case may be that you're just so used to. I think so many times we do things just because it's a habit and it's our family and they need us. Well, not necessarily. What they need is to be responsible and to make their own choices in their lives. You've made your choice to try to have the healthiest and the most joyful life that you can. And so that's not always an easy decision. However, I think it's one that is worth contemplating and looking to see how important or how disruptive relationships can be to your life. And if need be, try to set up some boundaries and some guidelines and some rules to what is acceptable and what is not. It's also really important that we do that with how we speak about ourselves, because I was amazed recently to hear how I was speaking about my body. And, I'm not very tall, and my goal has been to really work on my weight, but being very healthy at the same time as well, because I want to live a long time, and I don't want to have some health issues crop up because I'm just eating the wrong thing. And so I think it's important to, and Catherine talks about this throughout all of her programs, about the nagging Nelly and the negative narrative that we have about ourselves. And so I think it's really important to speak well about yourself. Even if you don't completely believe it, but at least start to get used to those more positive aspects. If you have to write that down in a journal in the morning, by God, go ahead and do it. I think it's important to really look at, how do you talk about yourself, and what are some great things about you, and do you value the body that you were given? Okay, great. It's not absolutely perfect. It's on the mend, though. We're making progress. We're here in this program. We're stepping in the right direction. We're not sitting there whining about it. We're definitely trying to do something about it. So I think it's important to minimize the criticism, to minimize this negative self-talk that we have a tendency to aspire to. I think a lot of women have that particular issue. In a previous life, I worked in the modeling and acting business. And one of the things, for 40 years, so it was a long time. One of the things I found absolutely fascinating was that if I was working with a male actor and he was getting ready to do an audition for a particular part, it never occurred to him that he was not going to get the part. Never crossed his mind. But when I worked with the female actors, the first thing the female would think would be, oh, there's just no way that they're possibly going to choose me. It doesn't matter how talented I am. It doesn't matter how I fit the part. It doesn't matter how well I do my reading. I mean, I just can't believe that they could possibly even consider me. And I found that to be amazing, that men just have this, God bless them, ability to walk in and go, nah, it's mine. I'm going to get it. I'm right where I need to be. All is good. So I think as women, we probably maybe we're a little quieter. Maybe our mothers went back to the same old, if I compliment her, then she's going to think she's beautiful. And, it's, what is it? It's not beauty. I forget what the saying is, but beauty's only skin deep. Well, that may be, but at the same time, I think it's really important to have the confidence, and to have confidence that we are in the right place, that our behavior is going to serve us well, that we like ourselves. So my question is to you this week, do you like yourself? I mean, have you ever asked yourself? You can ask your husband if he likes you. You can ask your kids if they like you. But that's just going to be depends on the day of the week, or whether you had to pull the reins in on one of the children, so they may not like you so much today. But I think it's important to really look at, how well do you like yourself, and write a list of things that are wonderful about you, and focus on those things and what's great about your body. Okay, I may not be the weight that I want to be, but damn, I'm strong. And I'm happy that I'm strong, and I, can still go out there and mow the lawn. So all is good. So trying to, again, finding those things that are no longer, are not a good narrative. And the last thing is, what behaviors no longer serve me? What behaviors no longer work in my best interest? Do I have particular behaviors that are not necessary anymore, that aren't helping me be as healthy as I possibly can be? I think that's really, really important, to start looking at, not only the people that we're hanging out with and their positive attitudes, but also, are there any behaviors that, am I, could we be drinking too many sodas and not enough water? Are the things that I could just naturally start to eliminate? I mean, do I really have to have a piece of toast in the morning, or can I kind of decide whether I want to have that, maybe a small piece of bread with my meal at night? I mean, I think there's ways that we can go ahead and we can definitely adjust that. I think living the best life that we can is obviously what we want to do, or we wouldn't be in this program. I think that Catherine Chess, no one can speak to this like Catherine can. She's probably one of the most amazing professionals that I have ever had the pleasure of working with and of knowing, and seeing her passion for creating these amazingly unique programs, and the benefit and knowledge that she's giving on a daily basis and on a weekly basis is just absolutely amazing. So with that, I want to say that I am thrilled to be a part of Eat Your Way to Healthy. I know we're on our module 2, which is our detox. We've talked a little bit tonight about how we can detox in other areas of our lives. I really do encourage you to take, again, a look at the detox program if you haven't. It's not as frightening as it sounds, and there are some amazing recipes involved. And I encourage you to be the very, very best version of who you can be, and to be grateful for all that you are, because I know I can speak for the entire Joyful Living with Catherine Chess. The entire team is hoping for you to be as healthy and as happy and have as much joy as you can possibly absorb and encompass in this thing we call life. And so again, I thank you so much for allowing me to sit in for Catherine tonight and be a part of this great program. So I love you. And I know on behalf of Catherine, she sends her blessings, and she'll be back in the saddle here in the next day or so. So have a wonderful evening. Please don't hesitate to reach out. Should you need any additional support, call me directly. I know I can pass on any data to Catherine, and have a wonderful evening. Stay healthy, and we love you.